Hi, I'm Dr. Paul, and today I want to talk to you about diabetes. It's a growing epidemic problem, and the American Diabetes Association says that one out of every two Americans either is pre-diabetic or diabetic. And it's very startling. If you were to take a look at the causes of mortality nowadays, one study shows that people are dying sooner than they did in years prior. And it's a startling thought that many Americans are suffering from diabetes. One of the things that we can discuss that we are going to discuss today is what's the cause of diabetes and how do we tackle the problem. Out of the three major causes, it's on number three for mortality. Number one is cancer, number two is heart disease, and number three is diabetes. So how do you tackle this kind of problem? One of the things that is an issue is misinformation, and unfortunately, some physicians are teaching the wrong information about what causes the problem. And so, when you're trying to handle the problem, you have to get to the root cause of the issue. So imagine a car going through your body, and that car is called insulin. Now it's transporting something in the body called glucose. Glucose is basically sugar. And this car can only handle a certain amount of glucose passengers. So say there's a 5-passenger car. So it's carrying on, the ideal situation is 5 passengers of glucose. Well, when you have too much blood sugar, where does the glucose go? It's going in on the trunk, on the top of the hood, in the back, and on top of the car itself. And it's going through these cells to distribute the sugar for energy. Okay, glucose is basically calories or energy. So if you didn't have any calories, guess what? Your brain can't think and you can't function throughout the day. So where does the glucose go if there's stuff that's hanging on top of the car where it should not be? Well, it goes into storage as fat, and it can cause eventually blood spikes of glucose. And historically, what happens is it starts to, you can think of a child. When they eat too much candy, it spikes their blood sugar levels. They get hyperactive, and then they crash and they sleep, or they crave when it goes to a valley. When it crashes, the glucose levels. Now that child is hungering for what? More glucose. And unfortunately, they'll grab the candy again, or they grab the things that spikes blood sugar, like processed foods, processed grains, processed wheat, processed flour, etc. You know the drill. So that's so when the um, when the body is going through this lack with it's called an improper communication process. The pancreas sends out the insulin to carry the glucose throughout the body, but if there's too much glucose, the cells eventually stop listening to insulin. It's about the communication between the pancreas and the cells of the body, like the muscles and the brain. So the cells say, you know what, you're talking too loud. There's too much glucose. You're trying to give me all this glucose, and I can't handle this much. And so it's going to go. I don't want to hear you anymore. And then that is called insulin resistance. This causes a whole host of like falling dominoes, one after the other, which can lead to not only heart disease, clogging of the arteries, brain disease like Alzheimer's, and even many forms of cancer, but it can cause the end-stage diabetic problems like kidney disease, uh, need for dialysis, amputations, blindness, and it's not a pretty picture. So what you want to do is solve the problem at its root, which is insulin resistance. It's not a blood sugar issue; it's an insulin problem. It's ability of the body to not communicate haphazardly or miscommunicate, and allow the cells to go, yeah, I've got the proper amount of glucose, and I want this amount because this is the way it should be. Well, you know, the good news is that you can do something about it. We have lost over 10,000 pounds in this clinic, and I can think of one lady right now that is inspiration to me. She's lost in her 70s over 100 pounds, and she was chronically in pain, chronically sitting down, not getting herself involved actively with her family. And when after she lost 100 pounds, she was playing on the beach. She had less pain in her knees. She went paddling in the water with her feet, and it was exciting to hear that. And not only did she look so much better, her life changed. So what do you do with diabetes? Conventionally, with conventional medicine, they'll try to control the problem with insulin shots, as if a lack of insulin was the problem. Um, and it's like band-aiding if say you're bleeding to death, and the cause of the problem is you have lack of platelets, which stop the bleeding from happening. Well, you're bleeding to death, and you can say, oh, you know what, let me get some gauze, get a lot of gauze, and then boom, it stops, it pretends to stop the bleeding, but you're still bleeding. But as soon as the gauze gets filled up with blood, then you continue to leak. Well, you never really address the cause, and that's what insulin shots or any diabetic medication does. It just band-aids the problem and never really deals with the cause. The way we would deal with the cause is by addressing lifestyle issues, addressing your diet, addressing motion issues or lack of motion, and contrary to popular belief, it's not just about exercise. Exercise is greatly important, but it's not the main thing that helps you to lower those blood glucose levels from insulin resistance. Now, I believe diet is the main issue, at least 80 to 90% of the issue. And if you can't control the diet, no matter how much you exercise, you're not going to lose weight. You're not going to beat diabetes. I know many people, or not many, but I know several instances of people exercising up to the kazoo and they still are gaining weight. I know people that are running marathons and they still have diabetes. So it's not just about exercise. One of the situations that I was greatly encouraged by is my latest patient, actually. He has been on diabetic medication for 20 years, and he was frustrated. The doctor was getting upset with him, and I told him, this is what you're going to need to do. I can help you. He started doing it, and within 2 weeks, his numbers went from the 160s to 113 just a couple of days ago. He was ecstatic, just because of what we told him to do. So what is the key? The first key is getting out of your black hole, getting out of your frustration, getting out of, if you do the same thing over and over again, you can get the same result. You got to get out of the mentality and start a new chapter in your life, and you got to make a clean break. And you have to be willing, because if you're not willing, then it's going to be difficult to really change anything. And so you got to be frustrated enough that you're going to be able to listen to what I tell you to do. So the first step is getting educated. Click on the link below. Learn, and watch the videos. It's going to be crucial for you to just to absorb yourself of knowledge, because without knowledge you're going to perish basically from this diabetes, and diabetes can lead to cancer and heart disease as well. So click on the link, understand the videos, be willing and be open. It just takes a first step of just gaining knowledge, and share the link with people that you love, because it's an epidemic problem that can be controlled, and if you don't share, then these people can't be helped. So first of all, you learn and understand, and then share the link so that other people can know the truth, because the truth will set you free. When you know the information, you'll have the power to be able to change your life and create a new chapter. I'm Dr. Paul. I'll see you on the next video.